In the silence of the night, when everyone was asleep, and only the sound of the wind seemed to fill the simple house, Joao knelt beside the bed. His calloused hands joined in prayer, and his eyes, though tired, shone with unwavering faith. He was a man of principles, known in his small town for his generous heart and dedication to family and God. Hard-working, honest, and always willing to help others, Joao never let the difficulties of life bring him down. But at that moment, he felt the weight of a burden that seemed impossible to bear. It all started on an ordinary morning when Joao left early for work at the textile factory, where he had been working for over 10 years. He was respected by his colleagues and admired by his superiors, but that day, something unexpected happened. An administrative error, a baseless accusation, and suddenly, Joao found himself accused of a crime he did not commit. They said he had embezzled money from the company. Without evidence, without a chance to defend himself, he was summarily dismissed. The doors closed, and the family's livelihood was threatened. The news spread quickly. Friends distanced themselves. Neighbors whispered. His wife, Maria, and their 2 children, Lucas and Anna, felt the impact. Bills began to pile up on the kitchen table, and the refrigerator, once full, now held only the essentials. But even in the face of despair, Joao did not allow bitterness to take over his heart. He took refuge in prayer. Every night he gathered his family in the living room. They would sit together holding hands and raise their voices to God. They asked for strength, wisdom, and above all, justice. Maria, even with tears in her eyes, told her children, "God never abandons us. The Lord knows the truth, and in due time, He will act." Lucas, the oldest, tried to be strong, but felt fear. Anna, still small, prayed with innocence and hope. And Joao, even with a heavy heart, never stopped giving thanks for each day, for each meal, for each smile from his children. The months dragged on slowly. The difficulties increased. Joao looked for work elsewhere, but the shadow of the unjust accusation followed him. At one point, he received a summons. He would have to respond legally for the alleged crime. The risk of being wrongfully imprisoned became real. Fear knocked at the door, but Joao remained faithful. He continued praying, fasting, seeking God's presence. Instead of complaining, he helped the neighbors, gave advice, shared the little he had. One day, while walking down the street, Joao encountered an elderly man who had fallen and injured his leg. Without hesitation, he helped the man, took him to the hospital, and stayed by his side until he was well. The elderly man, grateful, asked about his life. Joao, with humility, shared part of his story, but did not complain, only mentioning that he trusted in God. The man smiled and said, "My son, never lose faith. God honors those who remain steadfast." That night, Joao returned home with a renewed heart. He felt that God was listening to his prayers. And in fact, the Lord was already at work, even though he could not see it. Shortly after, an unexpected turn of events occurred. A new manager was hired at the factory, a man of integrity and committed to the truth. Upon reviewing the old processes, he realized that something was wrong in Joao's case. He requested a detailed investigation. They discovered that the evidence against Joao had been forged by a jealous colleague who wanted to take his position. The truth came to light. Joao was called back to the company, not only to be reinstated, but also to receive a promotion. His salary increased, and the respect of his colleagues was restored. The manager made a point of publicly apologizing, acknowledging the mistake, and praising Joao's character. In court, all charges were dropped, and his innocence was proven before everyone. Joao left the courthouse with his head held high, tears in his eyes, but this time, tears of gratitude. He ran home, and upon opening the door, he embraced Maria, Lucas, and Anna, thanking God for the miracle. The news spread throughout the city. Many who had doubted Joao were now ashamed. but he held no grudges. On the contrary, he continued to help everyone, forgiving those who judged him, being an example of faith and perseverance. This story teaches us that, even in the darkest hours, when everything seems lost, prayer is our greatest weapon. João did not lose hope, did not stop doing good, did not give in to despair. He trusted in God, even when he saw no way out, even when the doors closed, even when the world seemed unfair. John's faith was rewarded. God heard every prayer, wiped away every tear, strengthened every step. And at the right time, he acted powerfully, restoring everything that had been lost and giving even more than John could imagine. Many times we face similar situations: injustices, financial difficulties, family problems, illnesses, closed doors. In those moments, discouragement tries to take over us, and doubt whispers that God has forgotten us. But the story of John reminds us that the Lord never abandons his children. He sees every tear, knows every pain, understands every sigh, and at the right moment, he responds with miracles. Prayer is a dialogue with God. It doesn't need beautiful words or complicated rituals, just a sincere heart, willing to trust, even when it doesn't understand the reason for the trials. John prayed alone, prayed with his family, prayed while walking, prayed while working. He made prayer a way of life, and it was this constant communion with God that sustained him in difficult days. How many times do we stop praying when we face difficulties? How many times do we think that God is not listening, that he has forgotten us? The story of John is an invitation to resume our prayer life, to seek God's presence at all times, to not give up, even when everything seems to be against us. The Bible is full of examples of men and women who triumphed through prayer. Daniel, thrown into the lion's den, prayed and was delivered. Hannah, barren and humiliated, prayed and received the promised child. Elijah, pursued and weary, prayed and God sent fire from heaven. Jesus, our greatest example, prayed constantly, even being the Son of God. Just like João, we can also experience the power of prayer, no matter the size of the problem, no matter how difficult the situation may be. God is powerful enough to change any scenario, to reverse any injustice, to open doors where there seems to be no way out. He is faithful to fulfill his promises. Maybe you are going through a difficult time right now. Perhaps you have lost your job, are facing an illness, have been wronged, or are struggling to keep hope alive. I want to encourage you, don't give up. Keep praying, keep trusting. God is working behind the scenes, preparing a miracle for you. Remember that prayer is not just to ask, but also to give thanks, to worship, to strengthen oneself. John thanked God even in difficulties, and that renewed his hope. He did not allow pain to turn him into a bitter person, but used adversity to draw even closer to God. And when the miracle came, João did not forget those who supported him. He glorified God before everyone, testified to the power of prayer, and inspired others not to give up. His life became an example of faith, perseverance, and love. May João's story inspire you to keep your faith alive, not to lose hope, to continue being a just person who does good even when no one is watching. God honors those who remain faithful, who do not become corrupt, who do not give up on doing what is right. Whatever your struggle may be, know that God is by your side. He knows your heart, sees your effort, understands your tears, and in due time, he will act. The miracle may not come in the way we expect, but it will always come in the perfect way, because God knows what is best for us. Do not let difficulties distance you from God. On the contrary, use each challenge as an opportunity to draw even closer to him. Pray, trust, wait. The God who performed miracles in John's life is the same one who cares for you today. And when victory comes, remember to give thanks, to share the testimony, to help others who are also going through struggles. Thus, your life will be a channel of blessings, and the name of God will be glorified through you. The power of prayer is real. It transforms, heals, frees, restores, opens doors, breaks down walls, and rectifies injustices. Do not underestimate what God can do when you kneel and surrender everything into His hands. May this story be engraved in your heart. May you never forget that even on the hardest days, God is in control. He is our refuge, our fortress, our very present help in trouble. Trust, pray, wait. God is faithful. And just as in John's life, your miracle will also arrive. If you were touched by this story, share it with someone who needs hope. May we together strengthen our faith, support each other, and never stop believing in the power of prayer. May God bless you and your family. Amen.